Hey traders, it's John Fortune here with this week's Weekly Forex Forecast for the 25th of June to the 29th of June 2018. As always, starting with the US dollar index and oil, we are going to run through a number of markets looking at the key levels of support and resistance in the process. And we're also going to be highlighting some of the targets that we're looking for in the coming week and also in the weeks ahead. Now, just very quickly before we start, just to answer some questions that we had last week in the comments, was that when does the free training program start? Guys, we have already started the free training program. We have a number of clients on the books now in this free training program, and they're actually doing very, very nicely. And we run through in 2 live rooms each day, one at 7:30 in the morning AM and one at 6:30 PM in the evening. We run through not only these markets that we look at in the forecast, but over 30 markets in total, looking at the levels and the different setups during the day. All you have to do, guys, if you're interested in this, and you can find out more in the link in the description below, all you have to do is open up an account with Portex Markets and you get this completely free. So if you want more information on this, just click in that link in the description below, guys. Otherwise, we're going to jump over to the charts and see where the money is this week. As always, starting with the US dollar index. Now, last week we were expecting further advances in the US dollar index, and we did take out both targets set from last week at 95.50 and the 95.45. You can see as we hit this second area of resistance, we actually started to decline. And we are now coming back to retest broken resistance by the looks of it at 94.30. So very simply put, if we get a pullback and a retest of broken resistance turning support at 94.30, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking for advances in the dollar index as long as we stay above the 94.30 up towards target 2 set from last week and the key area of resistance to the upside at the 95.45. And of course, if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking up towards target 2 and the next key area of resistance to the upside at the 96.35. Now, just remember, guys, that we may end up, for example, doing a bit of a correction and then coming back down to the broken resistance turning support at 94.30. If this is the case, we could be a little bit corrective on the dollar next week. So what this means is, although we are looking for a pullback and a retest, and as long as we stay above the 94.30, we are looking overall for further advances in the dollar index. We are going to give this a kind of bullish to neutral rating, which means that going into next week, we're prepared to play the US dollar pairs on their own merit without a really strong bias one way or the other in the dollar index. Next, we have crude oil. Now, last week we did actually come down and finish off taking out the target to the downside at 64.05, and we bounced from this area, and we go into this week above broken resistance at the 67.27. So very simply put, going into this week, if we get a pullback and we get a retest of broken resistance turning support in this area, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking, first of all, up towards the target and the next key area of resistance to the upside at the 70.27. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking all the way up towards the next target and the next key area to the upside at the 7400 handle. So the first pair we're going to look at is euro dollar. Now, last week we started the week down in this area and we were looking for a potential pullback towards the 1.16590. And you can see this is exactly what we got last week, pulling back. And we actually start the week below broken support, turning resistance at the 1.16590. So very simply put, going into next week, this is a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns, and potentially looking for shorts down towards the next key area of support to the downside and the target set from last week at the 1.14460. And of course, if we can get a breakthrough here, although it may take a couple of weeks to get all the way down to here, the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 1.12924. Next, we have pound dollar. Now, last week we were looking for further declines in the pound dollar, having broken key support at 1.3356, and we were in fact looking for declines from this area up here we highlighted in previous forecasts. We came very close to the target set from last week at the 1.3041, but we had this rally in the pound, and this was off of the back of the chief economist at the Bank of England, Andy Haldane, voting unexpectedly to raise interest rates. There were expected to be 2 votes when they voted, and instead there were 3 to raise the interest rates, and we had this bullish reaction in the pound. So very simply put, we are still looking now at a potential pullback to broken resistance turning support at the 1.3356. And if we get a pullback into this area, this will be a great place to start once again looking for further declines in the pound dollar, and we are going to be looking once again back down to the next key area of support to the downside in the target set at the 1.3041. Next we have US dollar Japanese yen. Now the US dollar Japanese yen has actually been pretty corrective over the last couple of weeks. You can see it's pretty much gone nowhere. In fact, it's just been chopping side, and this is because one of the things we do in the live rooms, guys, is we look at the individual currency strengths, and the US dollar and the Japanese yen have both been strong. When you get two strong currencies paired against each other, they kind of correct like this. But as we start the week below broken support, turning resistance at the 110.145, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns, and we're looking for potentially further declines down towards the next key area of support to the downside in the target set at the 108.184. Just bear in mind with the US dollar Japanese yen, guys, that if going into next week we are still strong on the dollar and still strong on the yen, this correction may continue, okay? But as we stick to the methodology outlined here, we are looking for further declines as we start the week below the 110.145. Next we have Aussie dollar. Now last week we started the week up in this area and we were looking for further declines in the Aussie dollar, preferably all the way down to the next key area of support at 0.73333. Now we didn't get the move all the way down to the target, we just came slightly short. In fact, the Aussie dollar has been one of the pairs that has paid us very handsomely over the last few weeks, but unfortunately last week we just came very short. We are now pulling back towards broken support, turning resistance, or looking to turn resistance at the 0.74755. So as long as we are below this area, we are looking for further declines in the Aussie dollar. And if we get a pullback and a retest of broken support, turning resistance at the 0.74755, this is going to be a great place to once again start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we are looking down towards the target, which we came very close to last week in the next key area of support to the downside at the 0.73333. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside in target 2 at the 0.72879. Next we have New Zealand dollar. Now New Zealand dollar has also been a really nice pair to be trading recently, and in fact we were looking for shorts as we highlighted in previous forecasts ever since we ran into the key area of resistance at the 0.70415, and we've had a big sell-off in the New Zealand, and we came very close to the target set from last week in this continued push to the downside at 0.68180, and we started to reverse as the dollar index sold off from the highs, and we're now pulling back towards 0.69307. So as long as we stay below the 0.69307, we are looking for further declines in the New Zealand, and we are looking to be sellers. If we get a pullback and we get a retest of broken support, turning resistance at the 0.69307, this is going to be a place once again we're going to start to look for bearish formations and patterns, and we're going to be looking down towards the target set from last week. We came just a few pips away from it at the 0.68180, and of course if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside in target 2 at the 0.67810. Next we have US dollar franc. Now we start the week below broken support at the 0.98967, and although this is only just below, I mean there is a risk that this could be just a deeper test of this support level here. We are still looking for further declines in the US dollar franc going into this week, as long as we stay below the 0.98967. So very simply put, if we get a pullback, and preferably what would be good actually is if we could get a little bit of a push further down, just to prove to us that this is not a deeper test, but this is actually a full breakthrough support, and we can get a pullback and a retest of broken support, turning resistance. If we get this kind of price action in this area, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns, and we're going to be looking at taking shorts down towards the key target and the next support to the downside at the 0.97634. Next we have US dollar CAD. Now last week we did come up and take out the target set last week at 1.31119, and we had a really nice move up here in the US dollar CAD. And we came very close as well to the second target at the 1.34255 before we had a decline in the US dollar index from the resistance areas, the targets in the US dollar index, and all of the dollar pairs did show a little bit of dollar weakening. Very simply put, as we start the week above the 1.32207, we are looking for further advances in the US dollar CAD. If we get a pullback and a retest of broken resistance, turning support at the 1.32207, this is going to be a great place once again to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're looking up towards the target 2 set from last week and the next key area of resistance to the upside at the 1.34255. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area resistance to the upside and target 2 now at the 1.35174. And finally, we have gold. Now, last week we were looking for further declines in gold to the target at the 1260.91. We did actually come all the way down to the target. I mean, depending on your broker, will depend whether or not this came all the way to the target or not. For us, this was fulfilled as a target down here, but strictly speaking, because we came slightly short here, we've left this on. So very simply put, as we start the week below broken support, looking to turn resistance. If we get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance in gold at the 1276.62, this would be another great place to start to look once again for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking down towards the target here set from last week, which we came within the spread of at the 1260.91. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards target 2 and the next key area of support to the downside at the 1255.74. So that is it from me for this week, guys. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know by liking, sharing and subscribing. A big thank you to all of you who do that on a regular basis, and a big thank you to those of you who have subscribed to the channel so far. I hope you all have a fantastic week next week. It is the last week of the month. I hope you all have a very profitable week. The only thing left to say is take care and don't forget to trade safely.